Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And, of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget that you can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan via iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, etc. 32 teams, 32 days in the NFL. Today, the focus is the San Francisco 49ers, whose Jimmy Garoppolo is certainly off to an inauspicious start early going. 0 QBR rating, 1 out of 6, an INT. Let me give you a quick reminder about Jimmy G really fast. As you all know, he stepped in pretty late into the season for the 49ers a couple of years ago. Many believe that it was really the New England Patriots seeing a lot in him and giving him an opportunity to go and prove himself somewhere else, knowing that they were going to hang on to Tom Brady for as long as they possibly can. I don't think anybody thought that Brady would last this long, but that was the idea behind it at the time because it looked obvious. Like, oh, okay, you're going to give up your guy that you drafted that you thought was going to replace Brady. Apparently, you're not going to replace Brady anytime soon. Obviously, we see why. And then, of course, it must be that you're just giving this kid a chance. Grade A move by the Patriots when you really think about it. So he sits out the first week. He comes back in that second week, plays pretty good football. I believe they win, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, somewhere in that neighborhood to kind of close out the season. The competition wasn't the greatest. I took a look and said, well, they're beating some teams that aren't really that great. I think Tennessee was one of those teams. I think the Jets was one of those teams, if I remember correctly. I think the Bears was one of those teams, if I remember correctly. Team that wasn't that good that year. So I wanted all of us to kind of slow down and wait and see what would happen. Then, of course, he got that huge $100+ million contract. And I said from the beginning that I would have been okay with X amount of dollars. Like, okay, let's get this kid like $80 million, somewhere in that neighborhood. There was a lot of hype around him. And then, of course, what happens? Tears his ACL. And the expectation, again, is high. Why? Because you gave somebody over $100 million. Now, look, I am not the type to generally evaluate a preseason football game. And even if I did take it all the way, I would still look at the San Francisco 49ers and their play last night and say, well, it is the Denver Broncos defense. One of the most prolific defenses in all the NFL over the last few seasons. I think that we're all well aware that in their last Super Bowl victory over the Carolina Panthers, that this was a football team that was carried by the defense. I think we're all very well aware of that. Here's the deal, though. When I watched this game last night, and then I went back and looked at some of the highlights again, one of the things that I was impressed with the San Francisco 49ers was their run defense and their run offense. If I'm going to evaluate a preseason game, then that's what I'm going to look at. Because Denver has a very good 1-2 punch in Phillip Lindsay and Freeman. So I was really surprised that Denver's running game didn't look that good. Now, was it because there was really no fear of Joe Flacco? Or was it because San Francisco's defense was just that good in the early going? Because Denver ran a couple of plays, right? We saw some in-and-around stuff, some things that I've been saying that they need to incorporate into this offense for a very long time. Emmanuel Sanders looked very good for Denver, and so he was able to get that in-and-around play. But really outside of that with the run game, what did Denver really do offensively? And I think that's credited to the 49ers defense. Then I look at the 49ers run offense, right? I mean, they had several plays, at least 4 or 5, where they had runs that were 8 yards or better. and got first downs. And so when I look at the 49ers and I see the capability of a run offense like that, you would really think that it would be taking plenty of pressure off of your quarterback, and it would make life a little easier for him to make plays. Now, look, I'm not the type of person to just blame one player most of the time. Most of the time, I should say. And I have said over and over again that I think a great quarterback can make or break a football team. I look at the Denver Broncos and I see what I see with San Francisco, and that is a pretty good overall football team around the quarterback. But does the quarterback have enough in him, enough talent, enough discipline to carry their team to, let's say, 10 or 11 wins, get to the playoffs, obviously, and make a run deep? Because I think Frisco could have a pretty solid defense overall. Look, if you can shut down the running game of any football team and make them one-dimensional, that's going to make your job a lot easier. Because then you've got defenders who can just really pin their ears back, as they say, and just go for it. You're going to be talking about bull rushing. You're going to have guys blitzing all over the place. You're going to have defensive backs flying all over the field and just getting to the football, because that's going to be the only thing that they're concerned about. Wherever that ball gets thrown is where they're going to be, and they're going to be swarming all over the place. So defensively, I see a very solid team in the San Francisco 49ers. As of right now, the glaring weakness, much like Denver, could be the quarterback position. Now, it is one preseason game. It is only a couple of series. So I think that the tendency to overreact kind of gets mundane after a while, and we start watering down what this 49ers team could be, especially when you look at the schedule. To a lot of people, I think they're going to look at it and go, this schedule is really not all that tough. Obviously, you're going to be in the NFC West, so yeah, you're going to have to face the Rams twice. You're going to have to face the Seahawks twice. You're going to have to face the Arizona Cardinals twice, who a lot of people I don't think are really that gung-ho on. I think this is a season for the Cardinals that we're all just kind of looking at them and looking at their draft, Kyler Murray coming out of OU and going, all right, they're going to either show some promise or not going into the future. But they've got the Carolina Panthers, as I've said many of times. They're very hit and miss with Cam Newton and company. They got the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think a lot of people are going to expect too much out of them. So really the schedule outside of maybe Pittsburgh and Cleveland doesn't really look that tough outside of the conference. What's it going to take for Frisco to have a good offense is a quarterback that doesn't look like he's afraid to be back there in that pocket. Because Jimmy Garoppolo right now looks absolutely terrified back there. No confidence whatsoever. Getting hurt like that can really affect an athlete going forward. Some guys recover. You look at Adrian Peterson, comeback player of the year coming off of his injury. Other players, it scares them to death. And they start playing protect themselves football. Will Jimmy G be that type of quarterback, or will he be able to move on from it? Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And, of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And, as always, don't you dare touch that dial.